Hello and welcome to the Sleepy Physicist. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe you're lying in bed, the lights dimmed, the world quiet around you. Maybe you're curled up in your favorite chair or listening as you drift off to sleep. Wherever you are, this space is for you, a gentle pocket of the night where wonder and calm can sit side by side. Tonight, I invite you to join me on a journey unlike any other. We're going to leave the Earth behind, just for a little while. We're going to ride a comet, a frozen traveler from the edge of the solar system, a messenger from the dawn of time. Not in a rush, not in a textbook way, but as two friends might, gazing up at the stars and letting their thoughts drift outward, further and further, until the boundaries of the possible begin to blur. If you're already enjoying this quiet moment, I'd love it if you gave the video a gentle like, or subscribed for more sleepy science stories. And if you're listening from somewhere special, a mountaintop, a little town, or just your favorite cozy spot, let me know in the comments. I love seeing the map of bedtime slowly light up. This video, like all others here, is for relaxation and education only. It's not a replacement for medical advice or professional sleep help, just a peaceful place to let your mind float. So now, let's begin. Lay back, take a slow breath, and imagine the night sky stretching out above you, vast, ancient, and full of questions. Some nights, the sky feels close, like a blanket. Other nights, it feels endless, a sea of darkness sprinkled with light. Tonight, it is both, close enough to comfort, wide enough to inspire. Let's start with a simple act. Close your eyes, if you like. Feel the weight of your body, the softness of your pillow or chair. Notice the gentle rhythm of your breath, in and out, slow and steady. With each breath, let the day's worries drift a little further away. Let your mind become light, unburdened, ready to wander. Now picture yourself standing outside, beneath the open sky. The air is cool, the world is quiet. Above you, the stars shine with a clarity you've never seen before. There are no city lights, no clouds, no distractions, just the pure, ancient light of a billion suns. You tilt your head back, and for a moment, you feel very small. But it's not a frightening smallness. It's the kind that makes you feel connected to the earth beneath your feet, to the sky above, to the long, unbroken chain of people who have gazed up in wonder before you. Somewhere out there, far beyond the planets, a comet is waiting. It's a tiny thing, really, just a few kilometers across, a speck of ice and rock drifting through the dark. But in the emptiness of space, it is enormous. It is ancient. It is a survivor from the birth of the solar system, carrying secrets older than any mountain, any ocean, any living thing. Tonight, we're going to find that comet. We're going to imagine what it would be like to ride it, to feel the cold, to taste the silence, to see the universe from the back of a frozen wanderer. We'll drift through the outer darkness, approach the warmth of the sun, and watch as the comet awakens, trailing a glowing tail across the sky. But before we set off, let's take a moment to ground ourselves. Feel the support beneath you, the bed, the chair, the floor. Notice the gentle pull of gravity, holding you close to the earth. You are safe. You are at rest. The world can wait. With each breath, imagine yourself becoming lighter, as if the boundaries of your body are softening, dissolving into the night. You are not just a person in a room. You are a traveler, ready to journey beyond the familiar, into the vastness of space. Let your mind drift upward, past the rooftops, past the trees, past the clouds. The air grows thin, the sky darkens, and soon you are floating above the earth, looking down at the blue and white marble spinning slowly below. You see the continents, the oceans, the swirling storms. You see the thin line of atmosphere glowing faintly in the sunlight. You see the moon, pale and distant, circling its silent path. But you are not stopping here. You are going further, past the moon, past the planets, out into the deep dark where the sun is just a distant point of light. There, in the silence, you see it, a comet, tumbling slowly through space. Its surface is dark, almost black, covered in a crust of ancient ice and dust. It's small, maybe a few kilometers across, but in the emptiness of space, it feels enormous. You reach out, and with a gentle push, you land softly on the comet's surface. It's cold, colder than anything you've ever felt. The ground beneath you is rough, pitted with craters and cracks, sparkling faintly with frozen gases. You look up. Above you, the stars are brighter than you've ever seen. There is no atmosphere here, no haze, no clouds, just the pure, sharp light of a billion suns. You are alone, but not lonely. The comet is your companion, your ship, your window into the ancient past. Take another breath. Feel the silence. Let your thoughts drift, slow and weightless, as we begin our journey. As you settle onto the surface of your comet, let's pause and wonder, what exactly is a comet? What is this ancient traveler you now call your ship? A comet is many things. To some, it's a streak of light in the night sky, a sudden visitor that appears and disappears, leaving behind a trail of wonder and questions. To others, it's an omen, a sign, a messenger from the heavens. But to a scientist, a comet is a time capsule, a frozen relic from the earliest days of the solar system, carrying within it the secrets of creation. Let's look closer. Beneath your feet, the comet's surface is dark and rough, covered in a crust of dust and ice. It's not smooth like a polished stone, but jagged, pitted, and ancient. The ice is mixed with rock, dust, and organic molecules, the building blocks of life. Some of these molecules have never been touched by sunlight, never warmed by a star. They are as old as the solar system itself, unchanged for billions of years. Most of the time, a comet is invisible. It spends its life in the cold, dark reaches far beyond the planets, where the sun is just another star. Out there it is silent, sleeping, waiting, but every so often gravity gives it a gentle nudge, a passing star, a distant planet, or the slow tug of the sun itself. The comet begins a long, slow fall inward toward the warmth and light. As it approaches the sun, everything changes. The ice begins to vaporize, turning directly into gas. This process is called sublimation. The gas forms a glowing cloud around the nucleus, the solid heart of the comet. This cloud is called the coma, and it can grow to be thousands of kilometers wide, far larger than the comet itself. But the most spectacular feature of a comet is its tail. As the sun's energy heats the coma, dust and gas are pushed away, streaming out behind the comet in a long, luminous tail. Sometimes the tail stretches for millions of kilometers, a glowing banner that marks the comet's path through the sky. From Earth, we see the comet as a bright head with a trailing tail, moving slowly among the stars. But from your vantage point, riding on the comet itself, the experience is very different. You are at the center of the action, surrounded by the shimmering coma, watching as the tail unfurls behind you, a river of light in the darkness. But a comet is more than just ice and dust. It is a messenger from the past, a survivor from the time when the planets were young. The material in a comet is the same material that built the Earth, the Moon, and all the worlds of the solar system. By studying comets, scientists learn about the conditions that existed billions of years ago, when the sun was new and the planets were still forming. Some comets come from the Kuiper Belt, a ring of icy bodies beyond Neptune. Others come from the Oort cloud, a vast spherical shell of frozen fragments that surrounds the solar system. These regions are the solar system's deep memory, a place where comets sleep for eons, waiting for their turn to journey inward. When a comet finally approaches the sun, it is transformed. The ice and dust that have been locked away for billions of years are released into space, creating the coma and the tail. The comet becomes a beacon, a moving light that can be seen from Earth, inspiring awe and curiosity in all who see it. But the journey is not without danger. The sun's heat can be destructive, breaking the comet apart, scattering its fragments across the sky. Some comets survive the journey, returning to the outer darkness to sleep once more. Others are lost, consumed by the sun, or shattered by their own transformation. As you sit on the comet's surface, you are part of this ancient cycle, a cycle of sleep and awakening, of darkness and light, of creation and destruction. You are writing a piece of the solar system's history, a fragment of the cloud that gave birth to the sun and planets. Take a moment to imagine the journey your comet has made. Perhaps it spent billions of years in the Oort cloud, untouched and unchanged, drifting in the cold and dark. Perhaps it was nudged inward by the gravity of a passing star, beginning a slow fall toward the sun. Perhaps it has made this journey many times before, each time losing a little more of itself, each time leaving a trail of dust and gas behind. Now, as you ride the comet, you are part of its story. You are a witness to its transformation, a traveler on a path carved by gravity and time. Look around you. The surface is rough and ancient, but there is beauty here. A beauty born of age and endurance, of survival against impossible odds. The ice beneath your feet is older than any mountain, any ocean. any living thing on Earth. The dust that coats the surface is the same dust that once floated in the cloud that became the sun. You are not just riding a comet. You are riding a memory of the solar system. As you rest on the surface of your comet, let's take a deeper breath together, in and out. Let your body relax a little more with each exhale. The world around you grows softer, quieter, as if the night itself is holding you gently. Now, let's use the power of imagination to step fully onto our comet, to become not just an observer but a true traveler in the cosmic dark. What is a comet really? To answer that, we must look beyond the streak of light in the night sky, beyond the glowing tail and the stories told by ancient peoples. We must look at the heart of the comet, at the science and the poetry that make it one of the most fascinating objects in the solar system. A comet is, at its core, a time capsule. It is a frozen relic from the earliest days of the solar system, a survivor from a time before planets, before moons, before life itself. The material that makes up a comet is the same material that once swirled in the great disk of gas and dust that surrounded the newborn sun. Some of that material clumped together to form the planets. Some was swept away by the solar wind, and some, like the comet you ride now, was cast out to the farthest reaches where it would remain unchanged for billions of years. The nucleus of a comet is small, often just a few kilometers across. It is made of ice, water ice, but also frozen carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia, and other gases. Mixed in with the ice are grains of rock and dust, and most intriguingly, complex organic molecules, the building blocks of life. The surface is dark, almost black, coated in a crust of dust and organic material that has built up over countless orbits. Most of the time, a comet is invisible. It spends its life in the cold, dark reaches far beyond the planets, where the sun is just another star. Out there, it is silent, sleeping, waiting. But every so often, gravity gives it a gentle nudge. A passing star, a distant planet, or the slow tug of the sun itself. The comet begins a long, slow fall inward, toward the warmth and light. As it approaches the sun, everything changes. The ice begins to vaporize, turning directly into gas. This process is called sublimation. The gas forms a glowing cloud around the nucleus, the solid heart of the comet. This cloud is called the coma, and it can grow to be thousands of kilometers wide, far larger than the comet itself. But the most spectacular feature of a comet is its tail. As the sun's energy heats the coma, dust and gas are pushed away, streaming out behind the comet in a long, luminous tail. Sometimes the tail stretches for millions of kilometers, a glowing banner that marks the comet's path through the sky. From Earth, we see the comet as a bright head with a trailing tail moving slowly among the stars. But from your vantage point, riding on the comet itself, the experience is very different. You are at the center of the action, surrounded by the shimmering coma, watching as the tail unfurls behind you, a river of light in the darkness. But a comet is more than just ice and dust. It is a messenger from the past, a survivor from the time when the planets were young. The material in a comet is the same material that built the Earth, the Moon, and all the worlds of the solar system. By studying comets, scientists learn about the conditions that existed billions of years ago, when the sun was new and the planets were still forming. Some comets come from the Kuiper Belt, a ring of icy bodies beyond Neptune. Others come from the Oort cloud, a vast, spherical shell of frozen fragments that surrounds the solar system. These regions are the solar system's deep memory, a place where comets sleep for eons, waiting for their turn to journey inward. When a comet finally approaches the sun, it is transformed. The ice and dust that have been locked away for billions of years are released into space, creating the coma and the tail. The comet becomes a beacon, a moving light that can be seen from Earth, inspiring awe and curiosity in all who see it. But the journey is not without danger. The sun's heat can be destructive, breaking the comet apart, scattering its fragments across the sky. Some comets survive the journey, returning to the outer darkness to sleep once more. Others are lost, consumed by the sun or shattered by their own transformation. As you sit on the comet's surface, you are part of this ancient cycle, a cycle of sleep and awakening, of darkness and light, of creation and destruction. You are riding a piece of the solar system's history, a fragment of the cloud that gave birth to the sun and planets. Take a moment to imagine the journey your comet has made. Perhaps it spent billions of years in the Oort cloud, untouched and unchanged. drifting in the cold and dark. Perhaps it was nudged inward by the gravity of a passing star, beginning a slow fall toward the sun. Perhaps it has made this journey many times before, each time losing a little more of itself, each time leaving a trail of dust and gas behind. Now, as you ride the comet, you are part of its story. You are a witness to its transformation, a traveler on a path carved by gravity and time. Look around you. The surface is rough and ancient, but there is beauty here, a beauty born of age and endurance, of survival against impossible odds. The ice beneath your feet is older than any mountain, any ocean, any living thing on Earth. The dust that coats the surface is the same dust that once floated in the cloud that became the sun. You are not just riding a comet. You are riding a memory of the solar system's birth, a memory of the forces that shaped the worlds. As you breathe in the silence, let yourself feel the wonder of it. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carrying the secrets of creation. And as the comet continues its journey, you are ready to explore more, to learn about its anatomy, its origins, and the forces that shape its path. But for now, rest. Let the silence of the comet fill you. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that even in the coldest, darkest places, there is beauty, there is history, there is wonder. Now, let's look even closer. Imagine kneeling down and brushing your hand across the surface. The dust is fine, almost like ash, but beneath it, the ice is hard and glassy, sparkling faintly in the starlight. You chip away a small piece and hold it up. It is clear, pure, and impossibly old. You realize you are holding a piece of the solar system's childhood, a fragment of the cloud that once swirled around the newborn sun. You wonder what secrets are locked inside this ice. Scientists have found amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, in the dust of comets. They have found simple sugars, and even molecules that resemble the bases of DNA. It is possible, just possible, that the ingredients for life on Earth arrived on comets like this one, delivered in a rain of icy fragments billions of years ago. You look up at the stars, and for a moment, you feel the vastness of time. The comet you ride is older than any living thing, older than the Earth itself. It has seen the birth of worlds, the death of stars, the slow dance of galaxies. It is a survivor, a messenger, a witness to the unfolding story of the cosmos. As you sit quietly, you begin to sense the slow, patient motion of the comet. It is drifting almost imperceptibly through the darkness. The sun is a distant point of light, but it is growing brighter day by day. Soon the comet will begin to change. The ice will awaken, the coma will bloom, and the tail will stretch out behind you like a banner of memory. But for now, the comet sleeps. The surface is cold and still, the dust undisturbed, the ice locked in silence. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the patience and endurance of a comet. Let yourself rest in this quiet. Let the cold remind you of the age and endurance of your comet. Let the silence fill you with peace, with awe, with the gentle certainty that you are part of something vast and beautiful. As the comet continues its journey, you are ready to witness its awakening, to feel the first stirrings of warmth, to watch as the ice begins to sublimate, to see the coma and tail bloom into brilliance. But for now, rest. Let the silence and cold of the outer solar system hold you. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that even in the darkest, coldest places, there is beauty, there is history, there is wonder. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the secrets of a comet. Let's take a deeper breath together, in and out. Let your body relax a little more with each exhale. The world around you grows softer, quieter, as if the night itself is holding you gently. Now, let's use the power of imagination to step fully onto our comet, to become not just an observer, but a true traveler in the cosmic dark. Picture yourself floating, weightless, far above the Earth. The blue and white marble spins slowly below, wrapped in a thin veil of atmosphere. You see the continents, the oceans, the swirling clouds. You see the curve of the horizon, the gentle glow of sunlight at the edge of the world. For a moment, you feel the pull of home, a tug of gravity, a memory of warmth and life. But tonight, you are going further. With a gentle thought, you begin to drift upward, away from the Earth, past the moon, past the familiar planets. The sun grows smaller, the stars grow brighter, and the darkness deepens around you. You are leaving the world behind, not in sadness, but in wonder. You are free, unbound, a traveler on the edge of the possible. Ahead you see it, your comet. It tumbles slowly through space, a dark, irregular shape against the endless black. Its surface is rough, pitted with craters and cliffs, sparkling faintly with frozen gases. It is both alien and familiar, a world in miniature, a ship made of ice and stone. You approach the comet, feeling the gentle pull of its gravity. It is weak, almost imperceptible, but enough to guide you in. You land softly, your feet crunching on the icy surface. The ground is cold, harder than any ice you've ever known. It glitters in the starlight, tiny crystals catching the faint glow of distant suns. You look around. There is no sound here, no wind, no water, no life. The silence is complete, but it is not empty. It is full of possibility, of memory, of the slow dance of molecules frozen in time. You are alone, but not lonely. The comet is your companion, your ship, your window into the ancient past. Take a moment to explore. Walk carefully across the surface, feeling the crunch of dust and ice beneath your feet. The gravity is so weak that each step sends you floating gently upward, as if you are walking on a dream. You move slowly, savoring the sensation of weightlessness, the freedom of motion. You find a small crater, its edges sharp and clean. Inside, the ice is pure and clear, untouched for billions of years. You reach out and touch it, feeling the cold seep into your fingers. It is a strange, exhilarating feeling. A connection to a time before time, to the birth of the solar system itself. You climb a small ridge and look out across the comet's surface. It is a landscape of contrasts, smooth plains and jagged cliffs, deep pits and towering spires. In the distance, you see a faint glow, the first hint of the coma, the cloud of gas and dust that will soon surround the comet as it approaches the sun. Above you, the stars are brighter than you have ever seen. There is no atmosphere here to blur their light, no haze to soften their edges. Each star is a point of pure, sharp brilliance, a sun in its own right. You see the constellations, familiar and strange, stretched across the sky like a tapestry of light. You sit down on the edge of the ridge, your feet dangling over the side. The silence is profound, but it is not empty. It is filled with the slow, patient ticking of time, the time it takes for a comet to complete its journey, the time it takes for ice to turn to gas, the time it takes for light to cross the vastness of space. You close your eyes and listen. You hear nothing, and yet you feel everything. The slow heartbeat of the comet, the distant hum of the sun, the gentle whisper of the stars. You are a traveler now, a rider on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness. Let your mind wander. Imagine the journey your comet has made, the eons spent in the Oort cloud, the slow fall toward the sun, the transformation from a silent rock to a glowing beacon. Imagine the forces that shaped it, the collisions, the near misses, the gentle tugs of gravity that set it on its path. You are part of that story now. You are a witness to the comet's transformation, a participant in its journey. You are writing a memory, a fragment of the solar system's birth, a piece of the cloud that became the sun. Take another breath. Feel the cold, the silence, the wonder. Let yourself become light, weightless, unburdened by the world you left behind. You are free, drifting through the stars, carried by the comet's slow, patient motion. As you sit on the comet's surface, you realize that you are not just a passenger. You are an explorer, a dreamer, a seeker of mysteries. The comet is your ship, your home, your guide through the darkness. You look down at your hands, gloved against the cold, and imagine what it would be like to dig into the surface, to collect a sample of the ancient ice. You imagine the tools you would use, a scoop, a vial, a tiny drill. You imagine the thrill of discovery, the joy of holding a piece of the solar system's history in your hands. You think of the scientists who have sent spacecraft to comets, Giotto, Deep Impact, Rosetta. You remember the images of rugged landscapes, the jets of gas erupting into space, the lander Philae bouncing across the surface of Comet 67P. You realize that you are part of a long tradition of exploration, a chain of curiosity that stretches from the first stargazers to the latest robotic explorers. You look up at the stars, and for a moment you feel the vastness of time. The comet you ride is older than any living thing, older than the Earth itself. It has seen the birth of worlds, the death of stars, the slow dance of galaxies. It is a survivor, a messenger, a witness to the unfolding story of the cosmos. You let your mind drift further, imagining what it would be like to ride the comet as it approaches the sun. You picture the ice beginning to sublimate, the coma blooming around you, the tail stretching out behind. You imagine the forces at work, the heat of the sun, the pressure of sunlight, the push of the solar wind. You feel the excitement of change, the anticipation of transformation. But for now, the comet sleeps. The surface is cold and still, the dust undisturbed, the ice locked in silence. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the patience and endurance of a comet. Let yourself rest in this quiet. Let the cold remind you of the age and endurance of your comet. Let the silence fill you with peace, with awe, with the gentle certainty that you are part of something vast and beautiful. As the comet continues its journey, you are ready to witness its awakening, to feel the first stirrings of warmth, to watch as the ice begins to sublimate, to see the coma and tail bloom into brilliance. But for now, rest. Let the silence and cold of the outer solar system hold you. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that even in the darkest, coldest places, there is beauty, there is history, there is wonder. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the secrets of a comet. As you rest on the comet's surface, let's take a closer look at what lies beneath and around you. A comet is not just a single thing, but a collection of parts, each with its own story, its own role in the cosmic dance. Tonight, you are not just a traveler. You are an explorer, ready to discover the anatomy of your frozen ship. Let's begin at the heart, the nucleus. This is the solid core of the comet, the part you're sitting on now. It's small by cosmic standards, maybe a few kilometers across, sometimes even less. But in the emptiness of space, it feels immense. The nucleus is made of ice and rock, dust and organic molecules, all packed together in a rough, irregular shape. Some call it a dirty snowball, but that phrase hardly does it justice. The ice is not just water, but a mixture of frozen gases, carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia, locked away since the birth of the solar system. The rock is ancient, older than any mountain on Earth, a survivor from a time before planets. The surface of the nucleus is dark, almost black, coated in a crust of dust and organic material. This crust forms over eons as the outer layers of ice are vaporized by sunlight and the heavier particles settle back down. The result is a landscape of contrasts: smooth plains and jagged cliffs, deep pits and towering spires, all shaped by the slow, patient work of time. Beneath the surface, the ice is pure and clear, untouched for billions of years. Here, in the cold and dark, molecules have waited, unchanged, since the solar system was young. Some of these molecules are the building blocks of life: amino acids, simple sugars, the seeds of possibility. Scientists believe that comets may have delivered these molecules to the early Earth, helping to spark the chemistry of life. But the nucleus is only the beginning. As the comet approaches the sun, everything changes. The warmth of sunlight begins to seep into the surface, waking the ice from its long sleep. The ice turns directly into gas, a process called sublimation, and jets of vapor burst from cracks and pits, carrying dust and organic molecules into space. This is how the coma is born. The coma is a glowing cloud of gas and dust that surrounds the nucleus, sometimes growing to be thousands of kilometers wide. From a distance, the coma looks like a halo, a soft, luminous veil that wraps the comet in light. Up close, it is a swirling, shifting mist, full of motion and energy. The gas in the coma is mostly water vapor, but it also contains carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and other molecules, each adding its own color and character to the glow. The coma is not just beautiful, it is also a shield, protecting the nucleus from the full force of the sun's heat. The gas and dust absorb sunlight, creating a buffer that slows the rate of sublimation. But the coma is also fragile, easily blown away by the solar wind, the stream of charged particles that flows outward from the sun. And then, there is the tail, the most spectacular feature of any comet. The tail forms as the solar wind pushes on the coma, stretching it out into a long, glowing ribbon that can reach millions of kilometers into space. Sometimes a comet has more than one tail. The dust tail is made of tiny particles, pushed away from the coma by the pressure of sunlight. It glows golden, curving gently along the comet's orbit, a trail of memory marking the path through the stars. The ion tail is different. It is made of charged particles, ions, created when the sun's ultraviolet light strips electrons from the gas in the coma. The solar wind carries these ions straight outward, forming a blue, arrow-straight tail that always points away from the sun, no matter which way the comet is moving. From your perch on the comet, you can see both tails stretching out behind you, asteroid, double ribbon of light, marking your journey through the solar system. The dust tail is soft and diffuse, a golden mist that glows in the sunlight. The ion tail is sharp and blue, a spear of energy pointing into the void. You reach out, and for a moment, you can almost touch the dust, the gas, the memory of the solar system's birth. The tails are not solid, but they are real. Streams of particles, each one a tiny piece of the comet, a fragment of the past set free by the sun. As you watch, the coma shifts and swirls around you, shaped by the invisible hand of the solar wind. Jets of gas erupt from the surface, carving new features into the nucleus, sending plumes of dust and ice into the sky. The comet is alive, changing, responding to the warmth and light. You realize that you are not just riding a comet. You are riding a process, a transformation, a dance of energy and matter that has played out countless times before. Each comet is unique, shaped by its own history, its own journey, its own encounters with the sun. Take a moment to appreciate the beauty of it all. The rough, ancient nucleus beneath your feet, the glowing coma that surrounds you, the twin tails that stretch out behind. You are at the center of a cosmic masterpiece, a work of art painted in ice and light. As the comet continues its journey, you are ready to learn more, to discover where it came from, how it began, and what secrets it carries within. But for now, rest. Let the glow of the coma wrap you in light. Let the tails remind you that even in the emptiest places, there is motion, there is change, there is wonder. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the anatomy of a comet. As you rest on the comet's surface, wrapped in the glow of the coma and the sweep of the tails, you might find yourself wondering, where did this comet come from? How did it begin its long, lonely journey through the solar system? To answer that, we must travel even farther, beyond the planets, beyond the familiar, to the very edge of the sun's domain. Imagine drifting outward, away from the warmth of the sun. You pass the orbits of the giant planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, each one a world of storms and secrets. Beyond Neptune, the sunlight grows faint, the darkness deepens, and the temperature drops to unimaginable lows. Here, in the cold and quiet, lies the Kuiper Belt. The Kuiper Belt is a vast ring of icy bodies, stretching from about 30 to 50 times farther from the sun than the Earth. It is a place of frozen relics, leftovers from the birth of the solar system. Here, comets are born from collisions and slow dances, nudged by gravity until they begin their long journey inward. The Kuiper Belt is home to dwarf planets like Pluto, Haumea, and Makemake, as well as countless smaller objects, icy rocks, frozen spheres, and the seeds of future comets. Picture the Kuiper Belt as a cosmic junkyard, a place where the building blocks of planets were left behind. The objects here are cold and dark, untouched for billions of years. Every so often, a collision or a gravitational nudge sends one of these bodies tumbling toward the inner solar system. If it survives the journey, it becomes a short-period comet, a visitor that returns again and again, tracing an elliptical path around the sun. But the Kuiper Belt is only the beginning. Far beyond its outer edge, at distances so great that sunlight takes days to arrive, lies the Oort cloud, a vast spherical shell of icy fragments that surrounds the solar system like a bubble. The Oort cloud is the solar system's deep memory, a place where comets sleep for eons, waiting for their turn to journey inward. The Oort cloud is almost unimaginably distant. It begins about 2,000 times farther from the sun than the Earth, and may extend halfway to the nearest star. It is a realm of darkness and silence, where the sun is just another point of light in the sky. Here, trillions of icy bodies drift in slow, patient orbits, untouched and unchanged since the solar system was young. No spacecraft has ever visited the Oort cloud. We know it exists only because of the comets it sends our way. Long-period comets that appear suddenly, blazing across the sky before vanishing for thousands, even millions of years. These comets are true wanderers, their paths shaped by the gravity of passing stars, the tides of the Milky Way, and the slow, steady pull of the sun. Imagine your comet sleeping in the Oort cloud for billions of years. It is cold, dark, and silent, a fragment of the cloud that gave birth to the sun and planets. For eons, nothing changes. The ice remains pure, the dust undisturbed. Then one day a distant star passes by, its gravity tugging gently on the comet's orbit. The comet begins a slow fall toward the sun, a journey that will take millions of years. As it approaches the inner solar system, the comet is transformed. The warmth of the sun wakes the ice from its sleep, and the comet becomes a beacon, a glowing head with a trailing tail, a messenger from the edge of the solar system. Some comets, like Halley's Comet, come from the Kuiper Belt. They are short-period comets, returning every few decades or centuries. Others, like Comet Hale-Bopp, come from the Oort cloud. They are long-period comets, appearing once in a lifetime, or even less often. The journey from the Oort cloud or the Kuiper Belt is not easy. Many comets are lost along the way, shattered by collisions or consumed by the sun. But those that survive become the wonders we see in the night sky. Streaks of light, rivers of dust, memories of the solar system's birth. As you sit on your comet, you are part of this ancient story. You are riding a fragment of the past, a survivor from the time when the planets were young. The ice beneath your feet is older than the Earth, older than the sun, older than memory itself. Take a moment to imagine the vastness of the Oort cloud, the cold silence of the Kuiper Belt. Picture the trillions of icy bodies drifting in the dark, each one a potential comet, each one waiting for its turn to shine. Imagine the slow, patient work of gravity, shaping orbits, sending comets inward, creating the cycles of sleep and awakening that define the life of a comet. You are not just a traveler. You are a witness to the history of the solar system, a participant in the great dance of creation and destruction. The comet you ride is a messenger from the edge, a reminder that even in the coldest, darkest places, there is motion, there is change, there is wonder. Now, let's drift back in time, to the very beginning. The solar system was once a swirling disk of gas and dust spinning around a newborn sun. In the inner regions, where it was hot, only metals and rocks could survive. Farther out, where it was cold, ices could form: water, methane, ammonia, carbon dioxide. These ices clumped together with dust and rock, forming the seeds of comets. Some of these seeds grew large enough to become planets or moons. Others were swept up by the gravity of the giants: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. But many were flung outward, cast into the darkness, where they would remain, unchanged, for billions of years. These are the comets, the frozen leftovers of creation, the time capsules of the solar system. Each one is unique, shaped by its own history, its own encounters, its own journey through the dark. You realize, as you ride your comet, that you are part of this story, a traveler on a ship that has seen the birth of worlds, the death of stars, the slow dance of galaxies. The comet beneath you is both a relic of the past and a promise for the future, a bridge between what has been and what might be. As the comet continues its journey, you are ready to explore more, to drift through the deep dark, to feel the silence and cold of the outer solar system, to witness the transformation as the comet approaches the sun. But for now, rest. Let the memory of the Oort cloud and the Kuiper Belt fill you with awe. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that you are part of a story billions of years in the making. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the origins of a comet. Out here in the far reaches of the solar system, silence is not just the absence of sound. It is a presence, a companion, a vast and gentle hush that wraps itself around you and your comet. The cold is not just a number on a thermometer, but a feeling, a memory, a story written in frost and shadow. As you ride your comet through this distant realm, you become intimately acquainted with both. The sun, once a blazing presence, is now little more than a bright star among many. Its warmth is a distant memory, its light a pale echo of what you once knew. The temperature on the comet's surface plunges to hundreds of degrees below zero, so cold that air itself would freeze solid, so cold that time seems to slow, to stretch, to become almost infinite. You sit on the comet's surface, bundled in the silence. There is no wind, no rustle of leaves, no distant hum of life. The only sound is the soft crunch of your own footsteps on the icy crust, the gentle thud as you settle into a comfortable spot. Even your breath seems quieter here, as if the cold has muffled it, softened it, made it part of the silence. You look up, and the stars are sharper, brighter, more numerous than you have ever seen. Without an atmosphere to scatter their light, each star is a perfect point, a tiny sun burning in the endless black. The constellations are familiar, but they seem closer, more intimate, as if you could reach out and pluck them from the sky. The cold is everywhere, pressing in from all sides. It seeps into the ice beneath your feet, into the dust that coats the surface, into the very molecules that make up the comet. The ice is hard as stone, the dust brittle and dry. If you were to pick up a handful, it would crumble in your fingers, falling away like ancient snow. But the cold is not empty. It is full of memory, of possibility, of the slow dance of molecules frozen in time. The ice beneath your feet is a record of the solar system's birth, a library of ancient chemistry, a time capsule waiting to be opened. Locked within it are the building blocks of life: water, carbon, simple organic molecules, preserved for billions of years by the deep, unyielding cold. You close your eyes and listen to the silence. It is not oppressive or lonely, but peaceful, comforting, like a soft blanket wrapped around your thoughts. In this silence, you can hear the slow heartbeat of the comet, the distant hum of the sun, the gentle whisper of the stars. You are alone, but not lonely. The comet is your companion, your ship, your home for this journey. You take a slow, deep breath, feeling the cold air fill your lungs. It is crisp and clean, untouched by pollution or warmth. Each breath is a reminder of where you are, far from home, far from the familiar, deep in the heart of the solar system's winter. You walk across the surface, your footsteps leaving faint marks in the dust. The gravity is so weak that you feel almost weightless, as if you could leap into the sky and never come down. Each step is an act of exploration, a small adventure in a landscape that has changed little in billions of years. You find a sheltered hollow, a place where the ice is smooth and clear. You sit down, feeling the cold seep into your bones, and gaze up at the stars. The silence is complete, but it is not empty. It is filled with the slow, patient ticking of time, the time it takes for a comet to complete its journey, the time it takes for ice to turn to gas, the time it takes for light to cross the vastness of space. You think about the journey your comet has made, the eons spent in the Oort cloud, the slow fall toward the sun, the transformation from a silent rock to a glowing beacon. You are part of that story now, a witness to the comet's transformation, a participant in its journey. The cold and silence of the outer solar system are not obstacles, but gifts. They preserve the comet, protect its secrets, and create a space for wonder and reflection. In this quiet, frozen world, you are free to dream, to imagine, to become part of the story. You reach out and touch the ice, feeling its smooth, ancient surface. It is hard and unyielding, but beneath it lies a world of possibility, a world that will soon awaken as the comet approaches the sun. For now, though, the comet sleeps. The ice is still, the dust undisturbed, the silence unbroken. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the cold and silence of the outer solar system. Let yourself rest in this quiet. Let the cold remind you of the age and endurance of your comet. Let the silence fill you with peace, with awe, with the gentle certainty that you are part of something vast and beautiful. As the comet continues its journey, you are ready to witness its awakening, to feel the first stirrings of warmth, to watch as the ice begins to sublimate, to see the coma and tail bloom into brilliance. But for now, rest. Let the silence and cold of the outer solar system hold you. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that even in the darkest, coldest places, there is beauty, there is history, there is wonder. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the silence and cold of the outer solar system. Time passes quietly as you drift through the frozen dark, but slowly, Almost imperceptibly, the world around you begins to change. The sun, once a distant star, grows brighter, larger, warmer. The blackness of space softens at the edges, and the comet's long sleep is coming to an end. You notice the first signs of awakening in subtle ways. The temperature on the comet's surface, which has been steady and unyielding for eons, begins to rise. Just a little at first, then more with each passing day. The ice beneath your feet, so hard and silent, starts to respond to the sun's gentle touch. You feel a faint vibration, a whisper of motion, a promise of transformation. The sun's energy seeps into the comet, warming the outer layers. The ice, which has been locked in place for billions of years, begins to sublimate, turning directly from solid to gas. At first, the change is invisible, a few stray molecules escaping into the vacuum. But soon the process accelerates. Jets of vapor burst from cracks and pits, carrying dust and organic molecules into space. You watch as the surface comes alive. Tiny geysers erupt, sending plumes of gas and dust skyward. The landscape shifts and changes, new features forming as the ice recedes and the dust settles. The comet is no longer a silent rock, but a world in motion, a place of energy and change. Around you, a glowing cloud begins to form, the coma. It starts as a faint haze, barely visible against the blackness of space. But as the comet draws closer to the sun, the coma grows, expanding outward in all directions. It is a luminous veil, soft and shimmering, wrapping the nucleus in light. The coma can grow to be thousands of kilometers wide, far larger than the comet itself. You stand at the center of this transformation, a witness to the birth of brilliance. The coma glows with a ghostly light, a mixture of sunlight reflected from dust and the faint fluorescence of gas excited by the sun's ultraviolet rays. The air around you is thin, almost non-existent, but it is full of motion, molecules colliding, dust swirling, energy flowing. The sun's influence is everywhere. The solar wind, a stream of charged particles flowing outward from the sun, pushes on the coma, shaping it, stretching it, sculpting it into new forms. The pressure of sunlight itself acts on the dust, sending it streaming away from the nucleus, forming the beginnings of the comet's tail. You look behind you and see the first hints of the tail, a faint, glowing ribbon stretching out into the darkness. It is a river of dust and gas, a trail of memory marking the comet's path through the stars. As the comet moves closer to the sun, the tail will grow longer, brighter, more spectacular. The transformation is not without danger. The sun's heat is both a gift and a threat. Too much energy, and the comet may break apart, shattered by the forces unleashed within. Too little, and the coma and tail will remain faint. The comet a mere shadow of its potential. But for now, the balance is perfect, a dance of energy and matter, a celebration of awakening. You walk across the surface, feeling the changes beneath your feet. The ground is softer now, the ice less rigid, the dust more mobile. You see new jets erupting, new cracks forming, new patterns emerging in the landscape. The comet is alive, responding to the sun's call, singing its song of ice and fire. You pause and look up. The sun is no longer just a point of light, but a disk, bright and powerful, dominating the sky. Its rays illuminate the coma, making it glow with a beauty that is both delicate and fierce. The stars are still there, but they are dimmed by the brilliance of the sun and the glow of the comet's own awakening. You realize that you are part of something ancient and profound, a cycle that has played out countless times before, a story written in ice and light. The comet's journey is a journey of transformation, a passage from darkness to brilliance, from silence to song. You take a deep breath, feeling the energy in the air, the excitement of change. You are no longer just a traveler, but a participant in the comet's awakening. You are riding a world in motion, a ship of ice and dust carried by the sun's embrace. As the comet continues its approach, the coma will grow brighter, the tail will stretch farther, and the transformation will accelerate. You are ready to witness it all, to see the science of sublimation, to explore the mysteries of the tail, to ride the solar wind as the comet races toward the sun. But for now, rest. Let the glow of the coma surround you. Let the warmth of the sun remind you that even the coldest, darkest places can awaken, can change, can shine. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the awakening of a comet. As you stand on the surface of your comet, surrounded by the growing glow of the coma, you may find yourself wondering about the transformation unfolding all around you. How does solid ice, locked away for billions of years, suddenly become a cloud of gas and dust? What is the secret science behind this cosmic awakening? Let's drift gently into the heart of this mystery, a process called sublimation. On Earth, you know the familiar cycle of water. Ice melts into liquid, and liquid boils into vapor. But here, on the comet, things are different. There is no air, no pressure, no gentle warmth. The vacuum of space is absolute, and the sun's energy arrives as a silent, relentless force. When sunlight reaches the comet, it begins to warm the surface. The ice, which has been frozen solid for eons, absorbs this energy. But instead of melting into water, the ice skips the liquid stage entirely. It turns directly from solid to gas, a process known as sublimation. You can imagine the molecules in the ice packed tightly together, vibrating with the energy of the sun. As the temperature rises, some of these molecules gain enough energy to break free from their neighbors. They escape the surface, leaping into the vacuum, becoming part of the growing coma. This process is both gentle and dramatic. At first, only a few molecules escape, drifting away into space. But as the comet draws closer to the sun, the energy increases and the rate of sublimation accelerates. Jets of gas burst from cracks and pits, carrying dust and organic molecules with them. The surface becomes a landscape of change, new features forming, old ones vanishing, the comet reshaping itself with every passing day. You watch as the transformation unfolds. The ice beneath your feet is no longer silent and still, but alive with motion. Tiny geysers erupt, sending plumes of gas and dust skyward. The coma grows thicker, brighter, more luminous. The tail begins to stretch out behind you, a river of particles marking the comet's path. Sublimation is not just a surface phenomenon. The sun's energy penetrates the outer layers of the comet, warming the ice beneath the crust. Pockets of gas build up, trapped by the overlying dust and rock. When the pressure becomes too great, the crust cracks, and a jet of gas explodes outward, carving new features into the landscape. This process is chaotic and unpredictable. Some jets are gentle, releasing a steady stream of gas and dust. Others are violent, blasting material into space with enough force to spin the comet, changing its path through the solar system. The surface is constantly evolving, shaped by the interplay of sunlight, ice, and vacuum. You realize that sublimation is not just a chemical reaction, it is a dance of energy and matter, a conversation between the sun and the comet. The sun provides the energy, the ice responds, and the result is a display of beauty and motion that can be seen across the solar system. The gases released by sublimation are not just water vapor. They include carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane, ammonia, and a host of other molecules. Each one adds its own color and character to the coma and tail. Some glow with a faint blue or green light, others with a soft golden hue. The result is a tapestry of color and light, woven by the sun's invisible hand. You take a moment to appreciate the science behind the spectacle. Every jet, every plume, every wisp of gas is a story of transformation, a record of the comet's journey from darkness to brilliance. The ice that was once silent and still is now part of a living, breathing world, carried outward by the energy of the sun. Sublimation is also a process of loss. With every orbit, the comet sheds a little more of itself, ice turning to gas, dust drifting away, the nucleus shrinking over time. Some comets survive for thousands of journeys, returning again and again to the inner solar system. Others are lost, consumed by the sun or shattered by their own transformation. But even in loss, there is beauty. The dust and gas released by sublimation become part of the solar system, creating meteor showers, seeding planets with organic molecules, shaping the history of worlds. You are a witness to this process, a participant in the comet's transformation. You feel the energy of the sun, the motion of the ice, the birth of the coma and tail. You are riding a world in motion, a ship of ice and dust carried by the science of sublimation. As the comet continues its journey, the transformation will accelerate. The coma will grow brighter, the tail will stretch farther, and the dance of energy and matter will become ever more spectacular. But for now, rest. Let the science of sublimation fill you with wonder. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that even the simplest processes can create the most beautiful displays. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the transformation of ice to gas. As your comet draws ever closer to the sun, the transformation around you becomes more dramatic, more beautiful, and more mysterious. The coma, once a faint haze, now glows with a luminous intensity, wrapping the nucleus in a shimmering veil. But it is the tail, the comet's most spectacular feature, that truly marks your journey through the solar system. From your vantage point on the comet's surface, you can see the tail stretching out behind you, a river of light and memory flowing into the darkness. But did you know that a comet can have more than one tail? Let's drift gently into the science and wonder of these cosmic banners. The most familiar is the dust tail. This tail is made of tiny particles, microscopic grains of rock and organic material that are released from the nucleus as the ice sublimates. The sun's light, though gentle and silent, exerts a pressure on these dust grains, pushing them away from the comet and forming a broad golden tail. The dust tail curves gently, following the path of the comet's orbit, a graceful arc that marks the journey through space. If you could reach out and touch the dust tail, you would find it soft and diffuse, like a cloud of ancient snowflakes. Each particle is a fragment of the comet's past, a piece of the solar system's history set free by the sun's warmth. The dust tail glows in sunlight, scattering and reflecting the rays, creating the golden shimmer that can be seen from Earth. But there is another tail, more mysterious and more direct, the ion tail. This tail is made not of dust, but of gas, molecules that have been stripped of electrons by the sun's ultraviolet light, becoming charged particles called ions. The solar wind, a stream of charged particles flowing outward from the sun, sweeps these ions away from the coma, forming a tail that is straight, narrow, and often blue in color. The ion tail always points directly away from the sun, no matter which way the comet is moving. It is a spear of energy, a line of force drawn by the invisible hand of the solar wind. The blue glow comes from the interaction of sunlight with molecules like carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, which emit light at specific wavelengths when they are ionized. From your perch on the comet, you can see both tails stretching out behind you, a double ribbon of light, marking your path through the stars. The dust tail is soft and golden, curving gently along the orbit. The ion tail is sharp and blue, pointing straight into the void, a silent arrow that connects you to the sun. You watch as the tails shift and change, shaped by the forces of sunlight and solar wind. Sometimes the tails twist and ripple, forming knots and streamers as the comet moves through regions of varying solar activity. Occasionally, the ion tail can even be disconnected, snapped away by a sudden gust of solar wind, only to reform moments later. The tails are not just beautiful, they are also a record of the comet's journey, a map of its encounters with the sun. Each particle of dust, each ion of gas carries a story of transformation, of energy, of motion. The tails are the comet's memory, written in light and shadow, visible to all who look up from Earth. You realize that you are not just riding a comet, you are riding a process, a dance of energy and matter that has played out countless times before. Each comet is unique, shaped by its own history, its own journey, its own encounters with the sun. The tails are the visible sign of this uniqueness, a signature written across the sky. You take a moment to appreciate the wonder of it all. The rough, ancient nucleus beneath your feet, the glowing coma that surrounds you, the twin tails that stretch out behind. You are at the center of a cosmic masterpiece, a work of art painted in ice and light. As the comet continues its journey, the tails will grow longer, brighter, more spectacular. The dust and gas released by the sun's energy will become part of the solar system, creating meteor showers, seeding planets with organic molecules, shaping the history of worlds. But for now, rest. Let the beauty of the tails fill you with awe. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that even the simplest processes can create the most beautiful displays. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the dust and ion tails of a comet. As you ride your comet, you begin to sense the invisible path it follows, a long, graceful curve through the solar system, shaped by the gentle hand of gravity. Unlike the nearly circular orbits of the planets, a comet's journey is an ellipse, stretched and elongated, carrying it from the frozen edge of the sun's domain to the warmth of the inner solar system and back again. Let's drift into the mathematics and poetry of orbits and discover what makes your comet's path so unique. Imagine, for a moment, the solar system as a great cosmic dance floor. The sun stands at the center, a brilliant partner, while the planets and comets move in endless patterns around it. The planets, with their nearly circular orbits, glide in smooth, predictable loops. But comets are the wild dancers, tracing long, narrow ellipses that take them far from the sun, then swooping in close for a brief, brilliant encounter. The shape of a comet's orbit is described by its eccentricity, a measure of how stretched out the ellipse is. An eccentricity of 0 means a perfect circle, while values closer to 1 mean a more elongated path. Most comets have orbits with high eccentricity, their journeys taking them from the distant Oort cloud or Kuiper belt all the way to the sun's fiery embrace. You picture your comet's orbit as a long, thin oval, with the sun not at the center, but at one focus of the ellipse. This means that as the comet travels, its distance from the sun changes dramatically. For most of its journey, the comet drifts slowly through the cold, dark reaches of space, far from the sun's warmth. But as it approaches the inner solar system, it accelerates, pulled ever faster by the sun's gravity, until it swings around the sun in a dazzling arc. This close approach to the sun is called perihelion, the point in the orbit where the comet is nearest to the sun. Here the sun's energy is at its most intense, and the comet's transformation is at its peak. The coma blooms, the tails stretch out in brilliance, and the comet becomes a beacon in the night sky. After perihelion, the comet begins its long journey outward again, slowing as it climbs away from the sun, returning to the cold and darkness from which it came. This farthest point is called aphelion. The cycle repeats over and over, each orbit a story of sleep and awakening, of darkness and light. You realize that the speed of the comet changes throughout its orbit. When it is far from the sun, it moves slowly, almost lazily, as if reluctant to leave the comfort of the outer dark. But as it falls inward, it accelerates, racing toward the sun with increasing speed, until it whips around perihelion in a burst of energy. Then, as it climbs away, it slows again, the sun's pull growing weaker with distance. This dance is governed by the laws of physics, but it feels like poetry, a rhythm of approach and retreat, of longing and return. The comet is a wanderer, a visitor, a messenger from the edge, always moving, always changing, always following its unique path. Some comets, like Halley's Comet, have orbits that bring them back to the sun every few decades. These are called short-period comets, and their paths are shaped by the gravity of the giant planets, especially Jupiter. Other comets, like Hale-Bopp, have orbits that take thousands or even millions of years to complete. These long-period comets come from the distant Oort cloud, their visits to the inner solar system rare and unpredictable. You imagine the vastness of these orbits, the distances traveled, the time spent in darkness, the brief moments of brilliance near the sun. Each orbit is a journey through space and time, a cycle of transformation that has played out for billions of years. You look up and see the sun, now a powerful presence in the sky, its rays illuminating the coma and tails with fierce brilliance. You feel the acceleration of the comet, the rush of motion as it swings around perihelion. You are part of this cosmic dance, a traveler on a path shaped by gravity and time. You realize that the orbit is not just a path, it is a story, a memory, a record of the comet's encounters with the sun and planets. Each close approach leaves its mark, altering the orbit, changing the future. The comet is not just a passive traveler. It is a participant in the solar system's history, a witness to the forces that shape worlds. As the comet continues its journey, you are ready to explore more, to learn about the history of comets in human culture, to discover the myths and legends that have grown up around these cosmic wanderers, to see how science and wonder have always gone hand in hand. But for now, rest. Let the poetry of orbits fill you with awe. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that every journey is unique, every path a story, every orbit a dance. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the ellipse and eccentricity of a comet's orbit. As you ride your comet through the silent dark, you are not only a traveler in space, but a traveler in time. For as long as humans have gazed up at the night sky, Comets have been among the most mysterious and awe-inspiring of all celestial visitors. Their sudden appearance, their glowing heads and streaming tails, have sparked wonder, fear, and curiosity in every culture that has ever watched the heavens. Let's drift back through the centuries and explore the stories comets have left in the minds and hearts of people on Earth. Imagine a world before electric lights, before telescopes, before science as we know it. The night sky is a tapestry of stars, familiar and unchanging, until one night a new light appears. It is not a star, not a planet, but something different, a fuzzy, glowing head with a tail that stretches across the sky. It moves from night to night, unpredictable, untamed. For ancient peoples, a comet was a sign, a message from the gods, a portent of change. In China, records of comets go back more than 2,000 years. Ancient astronomers carefully noted their appearances, shapes, and colors, believing that comets foretold the rise and fall of emperors, the coming of wars, or the fate of harvests. The Chinese word for comet, huixing, means broom star, a fitting name for these celestial sweepers. In Europe, comets were often seen as omens of disaster. The appearance of a bright comet might be linked to the death of a king, the outbreak of plague, or the fall of a city. In 1066, the year of the Norman conquest of England, Halley's Comet blazed in the sky. It was depicted in the Bayeux Tapestry, a silent witness to the turning of history's wheel. In the Middle East, comets were sometimes seen as swords drawn in the sky, harbingers of battle or divine judgment. In other cultures, they were dragons, serpents, or celestial messengers, their tails trailing stories and warnings across the heavens. But not all comet tales were fearful. In some traditions, comets were seen as bringers of fertility, renewal, or good fortune. The Maya of Central America recorded comets as part of their complex calendar, weaving them into the cycles of time and the rhythms of the earth. As centuries passed, the mystery of comets only deepened. In the Renaissance, astronomers like Tycho Brahe and Johannes Kepler observed comets with new precision, trying to understand their paths and origins. Tycho's careful measurements showed that comets were not atmospheric phenomena, as many had believed, but true wanderers of the heavens, moving far beyond the moon. The great leap came with Edmund Halley, who used Isaac Newton's new laws of motion and gravity to calculate the orbit of a bright comet seen in 1682. Halley realized that this comet was the same one recorded in 1531 and 1607, and predicted it would return in 1758. When it did, the comet was named in his honor, Halley's Comet, the first to be recognized as a regular visitor, bound to the sun by gravity's gentle leash. With the rise of science, comets lost some of their power to frighten, but none of their power to inspire. Telescopes revealed their structure, nucleus, coma, tail, and spectroscopes showed the fingerprints of water, carbon, and organic molecules. Comets became not just omens but messengers from the past, carrying clues to the birth of the solar system. In the 20th and 21st centuries, comets have become targets for exploration. Spacecraft like Giotto, Deep Impact, and Rosetta have flown past or landed on comets, sending back images and data that have transformed our understanding. We have seen the rough, black surface of a nucleus, the jets of gas erupting into space, the delicate dance of dust and sunlight. Yet, even now, comets retain their magic. When a bright comet appears in the sky, people still gather to watch, to wonder, to feel the ancient thrill of seeing something rare and beautiful. Comets remind us that the universe is alive, unpredictable, full of surprises. You realize, as you ride your comet, that you are part of this long story. A story of fear and fascination, of myth and science, of questions and answers. The comet beneath you is the same kind that inspired ancient astronomers, that filled poets with awe, that challenged scientists to look deeper. You are a traveler not just through space, but through the shared imagination of humanity. The comet's tail is a thread that connects you to every person who has ever looked up in wonder, every child who has dreamed of riding a star. As the comet continues its journey, you are ready to explore more, to learn about the most famous comets, to discover the stories of Halley, Hale-Bopp, and others, to see how each comet leaves its own mark on history. But for now, rest. Let the stories of the past fill you with wonder. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that every comet is a messenger, Every journey a story, every appearance a chance to dream. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the myths, omens, and science of comets in history. As you ride your comet through the silent reaches of space, you become aware that you are not alone in this cosmic journey. Across the centuries, certain comets have captured the world's imagination, blazing so brightly in the sky that their names echo through history. Each one is a traveler like yours, a messenger from the edge, a fleeting visitor that leaves a lasting mark on those who witness its passage. Let's drift gently through the stories of some of the most famous comets, celestial wanderers whose appearances have shaped science, culture, and wonder. The most celebrated of all is Halley's Comet. Its story is a thread woven through the fabric of human history. Halley's Comet is a short-period comet, returning to the inner solar system every 76 years or so. It has been recorded by astronomers since at least 240 BCE, appearing in Chinese, Babylonian, and medieval European chronicles. It was Halley's Comet that shone above the Battle of Hastings in 1066, immortalized in the Bayeux Tapestry as a fiery omen in the sky. But it was Edmund Halley, in the early 18th century, who unlocked the comet's secret. By comparing records of comets seen in 1531, 1607, and 1682, Halley realized they were the same object, returning again and again. He predicted its return in 1758, and when it appeared, the comet was named in his honor. Halley's Comet became the first to be recognized as a regular visitor, its orbit calculated, its appearances anticipated. It last visited in 1986 and will return again in 2061. A reminder that some wonders are both ancient and yet to come. Another comet that captured the world's attention was Comet Hale-Bopp. Discovered independently by Alan Hale and Thomas Bopp in 1995, it became one of the brightest comets of the 20th century. For many months in 1996 and 1997, Hale-Bopp dominated the night sky, its twin tails stretching across the heavens, visible even from brightly lit cities. People around the world gathered to watch, to photograph, to marvel at a sight that would not return for more than 2,000 years. Hale-Bopp was a comet of superlatives, large, bright, and long-lasting. A true spectacle for a generation. Then there was Comet Hyakutake. Discovered in 1996 by Japanese amateur astronomer Yuji Hyakutake, it passed unusually close to Earth, just 15 million kilometers away. And for a few nights in March and April, its tail stretched halfway across the sky. Hyakutake was a reminder that comets can appear suddenly, unexpectedly, and fill the world with wonder. Some comets are famous not for their beauty, but for their drama. Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 was discovered in 1993, already broken into a string of fragments by Jupiter's gravity. In July 1994, these fragments crashed into Jupiter's atmosphere, creating a series of spectacular explosions visible to telescopes on Earth. For the first time, humanity witnessed a cosmic collision in real time, a reminder of the power and unpredictability of comets. Other comets have left their mark in subtler ways. Comet Encke is the second shortest period comet known, returning every 3.3 years. It is the source of the torrid meteor shower, as Earth passes through the dust left behind by the comet's repeated journeys. Comet Tempel-Tuttle is the parent of the Leonid meteor shower, a storm of shooting stars that can light up the sky with hundreds of meteors per hour. In recent years, comets have become targets for exploration. In 2014, the European Space Agency's Rosetta mission made history by orbiting and landing on Comet 67P Churyumov-Gerasimenko. For the first time, we saw a comet up close. Its rugged surface, its jets of gas, its slow rotation. The lander, Philae, bounced across the surface, sending back images and data that deepened our understanding and our sense of wonder. Each famous comet is unique, shaped by its own orbit, its own encounters with the sun, its own history of sleep and awakening. Some return again and again, familiar friends in the night sky. Others appear only once in a lifetime, or even once in 1,000 lifetimes. Their visits rare and precious. You realize as you ride your comet that you are part of this lineage, a traveler among travelers, a witness to the beauty and drama of the solar system. The comet beneath you could one day blaze across the sky, inspiring awe in those who see it, joining the ranks of Halley, Hale-Bopp, Hyakutake, and others. You imagine the excitement of discovery, the thrill of spotting a new comet, the anticipation as it brightens, the joy of sharing its beauty with the world. You think of the astronomers, both amateur and professional, who scan the skies each night, hoping to find the next great visitor, the next messenger from the edge. As the comet continues its journey, you are ready to explore more, to learn about the impact comets have had on Earth, to discover the stories of collisions and extinctions, to see how comets have shaped not just the sky, but the very history of our planet. But for now, rest. Let the stories of famous comets fill you with wonder. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that every comet is a traveler, every journey a story, every appearance a chance to dream. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the legacy of comets that have lit up the sky. As you ride your comet through the silent reaches of space, you may find your thoughts drifting toward Earth, the blue and white marble spinning far behind you, alive with oceans, forests, and life. Comets, for all their beauty and wonder, have not only inspired awe from afar. At times, they have come close, even collided with our world, leaving marks that echo through the ages. Let's drift gently into the story of comet impacts, moments when the paths of these cosmic wanderers have crossed with Earth, shaping the history of our planet in ways both subtle and profound. Imagine the early Earth, more than 4 billion years ago. The solar system is young, chaotic, full of debris. Comets and asteroids rain down on the planets, their impacts violent and frequent. Some scientists believe that comets, rich in water and organic molecules, may have delivered the ingredients for life to our world. Each impact, though destructive, was also creative, a spark that may have helped turn a barren planet into a living one. As the solar system matured, impacts became less common, but they never stopped. The scars of ancient collisions are still visible on the Moon, on Mars, and even on Earth, though our planet's active geology and weather have erased many of the oldest marks. Still, some craters remain, silent witnesses to the power of cosmic encounters. One of the most famous impact events in Earth's history happened about 66 million years ago. A massive object, perhaps an asteroid, perhaps a comet, struck what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, creating the Chicxulub crater. The explosion released energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs, sending dust and debris into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight, and triggering a global winter. In the aftermath, the dinosaurs and many other species vanished, making way for the rise of mammals and, eventually, humans. While the Chicxulub impact is often attributed to an asteroid, some scientists have suggested that a long-period comet could have been the culprit. Comets, with their high speeds and unpredictable orbits, are capable of delivering devastating blows. Their icy composition means they can break apart in the atmosphere, creating airbursts and multiple impacts. Other craters on Earth may also be the result of cometary collisions. The Tunguska event in 1908, which flattened thousands of square kilometers of Siberian forest, is thought by some to have been caused by a small comet or icy fragment exploding in the atmosphere. No crater was left behind, but the devastation was immense. A reminder that even small visitors from the outer solar system can have a big impact. But comets are not only agents of destruction. They are also bringers of change, catalysts for evolution, and perhaps even the seeds of life. The water in Earth's oceans, the carbon in our bodies, the molecules that make up DNA, all may have arrived in part on the backs of comets. Each impact, each collision, is a chapter in the story of life on Earth. You realize, as you ride your comet, that you are part of this story. A traveler on a ship that could one day visit a planet, deliver water, spark chemistry, or, in rare cases, cause catastrophe. The comet beneath you is both a messenger and a maker, a reminder that the universe is full of surprises, both beautiful and dangerous. Today, scientists watch the skies with powerful telescopes, tracking the orbits of comets and asteroids, searching for potential threats. Space agencies plan missions to study, and perhaps one day deflect, objects that might come too close. The story of impacts is not just history, it is a living science, a field where vigilance and curiosity go hand in hand. Yet, for all the risks, the odds of a major impact in any given year are small. The solar system is vast, and Earth is a tiny target. Most comets pass by at a safe distance, their tails lighting up the sky, their stories inspiring wonder rather than fear. You look back at Earth, shining in the darkness, and feel a sense of connection, a reminder that all worlds are linked by gravity. by chemistry, by the long, slow dance of the cosmos. The comet you ride is a traveler, a visitor, a potential bringer of both life and change. As the comet continues its journey, you are ready to explore more, to learn about the role comets may have played in the origins of life, to discover the mysteries of water and organics, to see how these icy wanderers have shaped not just the history of Earth, but the very possibility of life itself. But for now, rest. Let the story of impacts fill you with awe and humility. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that every journey is a chance for creation, every collision a moment of transformation. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the history of comets and their encounters with Earth. The sun, once a fierce and growing presence, now begins to shrink in your sky. The comet, having blazed in brilliance, begins its long retreat. The coma fades, the tails grow thin and ghostly, and the world around you grows colder, quieter, more still. You are entering the next chapter of the comet's journey, the return to the outer dark. As you ride your comet away from the sun, you feel the change in every sense. The warmth that once seeped into the ice now ebbs away. The jets of gas and dust, so lively and dramatic near perihelion, become rare, then silent. The surface hardens, the landscape settles, and the comet's transformation slows to a patient crawl. The coma, once a luminous veil, shrinks and disappears. The tails, those banners of memory and motion, dissolve into the blackness, leaving only a faint trail of dust along the comet's orbit. The comet is returning to its ancient state, a dark, silent nucleus, wrapped in a crust of dust and frozen gases, drifting through the emptiness. You look back at the sun, now a distant star among many. Its light is pale, its warmth a memory. The sky grows sharper, the stars more numerous, the silence deeper. The comet is once again a wanderer in the cold, a traveler in the vastness, a sleeper in the dark. This journey outward is slow, almost timeless. The comet moves away from the sun, climbing the long, stretched ellipse of its orbit. Its speed decreases, its energy wanes, and it drifts ever farther from the warmth and light. For most of its existence, the comet will remain in this state, silent, cold, and invisible, waiting for the next call inward. You realize that this cycle, approach and retreat, awakening and sleep, is the rhythm of a comet's life. Each orbit is a story of transformation, a passage from darkness to brilliance and back again. The comet is a memory, a messenger, a survivor from the birth of the solar system, carrying its secrets through the ages. But not all comets return unchanged. Some, after many journeys around the sun, begin to show their age. Each close approach strips away a little more ice, a little more dust. The nucleus shrinks, the jets weaken, the coma grows faint. Eventually, the comet may run out of volatile material, the ices that once erupted into gas and formed brilliant tails. What remains is a dark, rocky core, no longer able to put on a show. These extinct comets become almost indistinguishable from asteroids, silent stones drifting through the solar system, their days of brilliance behind them. Other comets meet a more dramatic end. The sun's heat, so gentle from afar, can be merciless up close. Sometimes the pressure of sublimating gases builds up inside the nucleus, causing it to crack, split, or even explode. The comet may break into fragments, each piece following its own path, sometimes creating a string of mini-comets or a spectacular meteor shower if Earth crosses their trail. The famous comet Shoemaker-Levy 9, torn apart by Jupiter's gravity, crashed into the giant planet in 1994, leaving scars that lingered for months, a reminder of the power and fragility of these icy wanderers. Some comets are captured by the gravity of planets. Jupiter, the solar system's giant, is especially skilled at this. Its immense pull can snatch a passing comet, changing its orbit or even drawing it in for a fiery end. Captured comets may become short-period comets, looping around the sun in orbits shaped by Jupiter's influence. Others may spiral inward, colliding with the planet or being torn apart by tidal forces. A few comets, after a single brilliant visit to the inner solar system, are flung out into the darkness, never to return. Their orbits, stretched by the sun's gravity or altered by planetary encounters, carry them beyond the reach of the sun's light, into interstellar space. These comets become true wanderers, drifting between the stars, carrying the chemistry of our solar system into the wider galaxy. But for most comets, the fate is sleep. After their moment of brilliance, they return to the cold, dark reaches of the Oort cloud or Kuiper belt. There they may slumber for millions, even billions of years, preserved by the deep freeze, waiting for the next gravitational nudge to send them sunward once more. In this way, comets are both ancient and ever-renewing. Their stories written in cycles of awakening and rest. You realize as you ride your comet that you are part of this cycle, a witness to the beauty of transformation, the inevitability of change, the quiet dignity of endings. The comet beneath you may one day break apart, be captured, or sleep for eons. Its fate is uncertain, but its journey is meaningful, each orbit a chapter in the story of the solar system. You look up at the stars, feeling the vastness of time and space. You sense the patience of the comet, the wisdom of waiting, the acceptance of whatever comes. The comet is not afraid of endings, for every ending is also a beginning. Dust and gas return to the solar system, fragments that may seed new worlds, stories that inspire new dreams. As the comet continues its journey, you are ready to reflect on what you have learned, to gather the lessons of the past, the hopes of the future, and the wonder of the present moment. For every comet is a teacher, every journey a story, every encounter a chance to dream. But for now, rest. Let the possible fates of comets fill you with wonder and humility. Let the ancient ice beneath your feet remind you that every journey is precious, every transformation a gift, every ending a doorway to something new. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the many destinies of comets, disintegration, capture, or sleep. As your journey on the comet draws to a close, you find yourself drifting in a quiet space between memory and possibility. The stars shine above, the ancient ice lies beneath, and the long arc of your voyage circles back to where it began. With a question, a sense of wonder, and the gentle hush of the night. What have you learned? Riding a comet through the solar system. What gifts does this frozen traveler offer to those who listen, who dream, who dare to imagine themselves as part of its story? You have learned about patience. The comet's journey is measured not in days or years, but in millennia. It teaches you to slow down, to trust the rhythm of cycles, to find beauty in the long, slow unfolding of time. In a world that often rushes, the comet reminds you that some stories are worth waiting for, that some journeys are best taken at the pace of the stars. You have learned about transformation. The comet is never quite the same from one orbit to the next. It sleeps in the cold, awakens in the sun, sheds its ice and dust, and returns to the dark, changed but enduring. You see in its cycle a reflection of your own life, moments of brilliance and quiet, of change and rest, of letting go and beginning again. You have learned about connection. The comet is a messenger, a bridge between worlds. It carries water and organics, the seeds of life, from the outer reaches to the inner planets. It links the past to the present, the distant to the near, the unknown to the known. Riding the comet, you feel your own place in the web of existence, part of a story that began before you and will continue long after. You have learned about resilience. The comet endures the cold of the outer dark, the heat of the sun, the pull of gravity, the risk of disintegration. It survives, adapts, and continues its journey. Even when the path is uncertain, you find inspiration in its persistence, its quiet strength, its willingness to keep moving no matter what. You have learned about wonder. The comet is a source of awe, a spark for the imagination, a reminder that the universe is full of surprises. Its sudden appearance in the sky, its glowing tail, its ancient chemistry, all invite you to look up, to ask questions, to dream of what lies beyond. And perhaps most of all, you have learned about humility. The comet is older than any mountain, any ocean, any living thing on Earth. It has seen the birth of the sun, the formation of the planets, the rise and fall of worlds. Riding the comet, you are reminded of your own smallness, and at the same time your own significance. For to witness, to wonder, to care, is to be part of the universe's story. As you prepare to leave your comet, you take one last look around. The surface is quiet now, the coma faded, the tails dissolved into memory. The stars shine with a steady light and the silence is deep and gentle. You feel gratitude for the journey, for the lessons, for the chance to be a traveler among the wonders of the cosmos. You return slowly to your own world. The bed, the chair, the familiar sounds of night. But something has changed. You carry with you the patience of the comet, the resilience of ice, the wonder of the stars. You know that, in some small way, you are connected to the great cycles of the universe, to the comets that wander, the planets that spin, the stories that unfold in the darkness. You are a traveler, always. Whether riding a comet or walking beneath the sky, you are part of a journey that has no end. A journey of discovery, of transformation, of quiet awe. So as you drift towards sleep, let the lessons of the comet settle gently in your mind. Let the silence of space become the silence of rest. Let the wonder of the cosmos become the wonder of your dreams. You are a traveler on a frozen ship, drifting through the darkness, carried by the beauty, the mystery, and the endless possibility of the universe. Good night, fellow traveler. May your journey be gentle, your dreams be bright, and your heart always open to wonder.